Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode, a real latest episode, as it's late night with the real underscore G Warner. It's nearly 1 a.m. Central Time, but a big, huge college basketball Friday has put me a little bit behind my prep, not making lines nor watching them, but certainly in doing an hour-long or 40-minute-long podcast. So I'm here, the real underscore G Warner, on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. We've been super hot on this podcast. So I go through each of the top 5 European soccer leagues. I pick out my favorite bet from each of the leagues. Went 5-0, actually. So could not have lost my ultimate best bet, which I choose from one of those 5 picks, which are now 12-3 this season. Pretty good run, if I don't say so myself. 80%. Not sure we're going to keep that going as long as it can, but streaks only die once. And they could last forever. So you should jump in and make sure, if you're not subscribed on all the platforms betting the pitch for these podcasts, you can get NFL podcasts, college basketball podcasts coming soon. Also the soccer pods, plus like this one, of course, and then more and more as we continue to expand the betting the pitch brand. Plus the real underscore G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. If you want the 1-minute version, where you get the top 5 picks from each of the 5 soccer leagues and that ultimate best bet in a video 1-minute fashion. I want to also shout out new Patreon subscribers, YouTube subscribers. I've done a lot of preparation since this is such a late podcast, but want to make sure everyone who's been supporting me for as long as you have gets your name out there. And I'm still thinking about what I should do for the long time subscribers. But the new ones are getting a little bit more of the respect right now, at least in this episode, because it'd be too long to list everybody else. So thank you. You know who you are. Thank you all for your support. And thank you for bearing with me as I'm trying to find a way to make everyone money on a million sports, all kicking off at the same time. So we'll start in England once I get this tweet out telling everyone that I'm live. We'll start in England because that's where most of the money is. If you're looking to buy a soccer club, let me know, because I definitely want to be in on that as well. But we'll start in England, and we'll start on my iPad, as that's what I have in front of my screen in the back that you can't see, a little behind the scenes edition of Betting the Pitch. We'll start with Leicester City hosting Chelsea. So Leicester, a goal and a quarter underdog at home with slightly more juice. Over under is 3, just very heavily to over. Might see this hit 3.25 again because it's been there. Actually, only 16 cents juice on BetOnline. If you're not a member of BetOnline or SportsBetting.ag, there are links in the podcast descriptions on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. So go follow those. And if you make a deposit, they'll match. I think 50% is It used to do 100 at sportsbetting.ag. Now it's only 50%, but still giving 50% or getting 50% of your deposit free, and that you can use to bet is not something that many other casinos will do. So go take advantage of that. BetOnline, sportsbetting.ag. If you're not a member at either of those sites, go join the other. They're related, but they honor the deposit bonuses separately. So Leicester, a goal and a quarter underdog. I don't think I want much to do with them, as they've just given up too many goals this season. I'm an underdog player, much to Joe Dollar's chagrin. Thank you for your long-term patronage. I really appreciate that, Joe. Though I do think you like overs a little too much and are trying to change who I am. Just kidding. I'll eventually be there at some point, but I'm still living this under life until it literally puts me in an early grave. Chelsea have looked great, though. What a phenomenal game, their draw with Arsenal before the international break. But at this point, I'm looking to back Chelsea as an underdog. I don't want to play them as a favorite, obviously, especially not a road favorite of a goal and a quarter. Gigantic, but I think that reflects how poorly Leicester has done this season. I don't think I want much to do with this early matchup coming off an international break in England. We'll move next to Everton hosting Brentford in this big wave of 10 a.m. Eastern time, United States time, 9 a.m. Central time in Dallas, Texas, in about 7 hours or 8 hours from as I'm recording this. Everton currently a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Brentford away from home. Over under is 2.5, juice all the way to over. Everton have been struggling to score goals for a lot of the season, but I think they've been fine. I'm really hoping the Brentford money will come in and push Everton down to a pick'em. I love backing them at home. And I've started to add home pick'ems as even as a favorite, up to a reasonable minus 125 or minus 120 type of juice. Usually looking for the home underdog pick'ems, but certainly I think laying nothing where a draw is a push. I think that's worth backing Everton. We don't have that yet at BetOnline, so I can't advocate it, but it does look like the line is moving there and kind of been jockeying back and forth. Total at 2.5 is a really big rub of totals because Everton are a very few goal scoring a game type of team. Brentford are that way too, but they have been scoring a ton this year. I don't trust it to continue. I don't really believe in Brentford. And I think away from home, they're going to have trouble scoring, especially against Jordan Pickford and that Everton defense. So it's not great. It's good enough to keep Brentford quiet. They stopped scoring the first minute after like 4 straight. So I think it's going to be tough for Brentford to score here. So I like the idea of fading them and fading their offense either with an under or with an underdog. So I'll put Everton under 2.5 as my biggest interest in that matchup as we speak. We'll move next to Fulham hosting Wolves. Currently Fulham a 1-goal favorite. A little bit more juice on Wolves away from home. Over unders 2 3/4. Juice all the way to over. Hoping this one hit 3. Fulham have been really good this season. And deserve this type of price. And Wolverhampton finally got a win before the international break. Just perfect time. Just like myself, 5-0 on my country selections and 12-3 so far on best bets. That's the ultimate best bet portion of the show at coming end of show. Same sort of momentum killer for Wolves, and they finally got a win to save Gary O'Neill's job, I hope, because he's a manager I want to back. And I think that the dilemma here is, how do Wolves approach that 2 weeks off? Because not a lot of their players go internationally, though some do. Fulham, you could say the same thing. Pretty much any English Premier League player, if you're from a country that plays soccer, you're probably going somewhere on the international break. And I think there's a good situation or opportunity here to fade the good teams because they got really, really tired players that might be playing 60 minutes, only a half, or might be coming on as a substitute, which would be even better. Of course, numbers will move depending on how that goes, but Wolverhampton getting a full goal of insurance is a lot. I like the push there. I also like under 3 if it gets there, but I still like under 2 3/4 because I'm a believer in the Wolves defense, so it has not produced so far this season. It's instead conceded far more than I think they've deserved, especially late in matches. Aston Villa then hosts Crystal Palace. Currently Villa a 3/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over under is 2 3/4. Juice all the way to under. Crystal Palace have been a bad road team for years. They're kind of struggling so far this year, especially considering how well they finished last season. Oliver Glasner is a manager I still trust from his days at Eintracht Frankfurt and VfL Wolfsburg in the German Bundesliga, but it's not been that easy this season for him. The nice part, he goes to Aston Villa, who've had big problems. Their defense is bad. Every second that Diego Carlos plays is far too many. He looks way past any sort of usability, but Aston Villa and Unai Emery, his manager, former La Liga manager and ultimately a Spaniard, has been really, I think, deferring to La Liga players far too much. Pau Torres playing this league seems weird to me as well. But Crystal Palace, until they get to a full goal of insurance, I'm not sure I want to touch it. We might get there. Juice is certainly pointing in that direction. And I lean to under 2 3/4 because I lean to under in any Crystal Palace match. So they're not going to score much. It probably is more sensible just play under here. So I'll certainly have that on my list. But I'll also have some interest towards Crystal Palace getting 3/4 of the goal. Moving next to Arsenal hosting Nottingham Forest. Currently Arsenal a 1 1/4 goal favorite with more juice. Over under is 2 3/4. Juice all the way to under. Nottingham Forest, incredible run to start the season. Didn't go so well heading into the international break. But I think this is a great position for them to start. If you're going to play Arsenal, you might as well play it after all their players were all over the world playing their soccer matches for World Cup qualification, which isn't even that hard to get into if you're Brazil, even though you're like 6th in the CONMEBOL Eliminatorias Sudamericanas standings. But Arsenal at this point, I mean, I'm surprised they're not away from home and a favorite because they haven't covered or hit an over in so long because they can't score goals. It's a really good situation to have Nottingham Forest getting a goal and a quarter and to lean under 2 3/4. So I'm fading Arsenal as long as I can. I don't see any reason to change that. And maybe Chris would. Hopefully he won't be too tired from playing with New Zealand. Moving last of this 10 a.m. Eastern time, United States time window, we have Bournemouth a pick'em right now to Brighton at home. Over under is 3, just very similarly, but slightly more the under. Bournemouth have been jockeying between pick'em and a 1/4 goal favorite. It feels very expensive just based on where Bournemouth started the season out. And I feel like, unfortunately, the Bournemouth, maybe the Bournemouth, get rich quick scheme, maybe that scheme is coming to an end if they're going to be favored to Brighton, but ultimately they're a pick'em. And I just said I'm interested in Everton getting there to Brentford, so certainly I'm interested in Bournemouth at this pick'em. I think at a 1/4 goal favorite, that's probably enough for me to stay away from it, and I don't know that I like Brighton enough at that type of number. I do lean to under though because I'm not sure Brighton are that great offensively, and they're certainly nowhere near as attacking as they were under Roberto De Zerbi, who is the most attacking manager I think in all of world football, certainly more than Marcelo Bielsa since he's been at Uruguay, that's for sure. So my interest in this one right now is Bournemouth a pick'em. I also lean to under 3. Moving last but not least, on Saturday, we have Manchester City hosting Tottenham. Currently, Manchester City, a 1.25 goal favorite, with most of the juice over unders 3.75, just slightly more to under. Tottenham, they are not my favorite, to say the least, but they've had good success playing Manchester City tight. They're getting more than a goal. Yes, it's on the road, and yes, their high line could get absolutely destroyed. But I am curious because Manchester City are so used to having good possession and controlling the ball up the pitch that might take the Tottenham Hotspur halfway line, literally on the dividing line in the middle of the pitch. That might not be as disastrous of a situation because it might not come into play that much. I think it's worse against counterattacking sides because you're basically playing 2v1 and it's a lot of times with a lot of space involved. Manchester City haven't been great on corner kicks, but I guess that's been their means of scoring or set pieces because they can't score from open play. I think Manchester City have been in big trouble for a long time, and I think we've been making a lot of money if you've been following Betting the Pitch on our podcast or at the @real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. So I'll lean to Tottenham getting a goal and a quarter. I don't think I want much to do with the total here because I don't want that high line against anyone that is a competent offense. Moving to Sunday, Southampton hosts Liverpool. Currently, Southampton a 1.75 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over unders 3.25, juice to split. That's a gigantic favorite for Liverpool considering their international experienced players going off all over the place. I think Chami Kelleher is still playing goalkeeper instead of Allison, but I'm not sure that's a big difference. Southampton are going to be stuck in their own end trying to pass the ball around. Liverpool are, I think, a Liverpool Klopp team would be absolutely, this is like a 9-0 type of possibility, even at home at St. Mary's, where Southampton are better. So that makes this 1.75 seem even more gigantic. Liverpool leading the Premier League without anywhere near the type of success or fear that you get from playing Liverpool. It's probably a lot due to a really weak schedule and potentially Manchester City and Arsenal are really struggling around them. I don't think Southampton can win this match, but crazier things have happened at St. Mary's and at home. I think this will probably be tighter than this 1.75. So I'll put Southampton on my list. And I guess I lean to under 3.25 because that goes and correlates pretty well with a tight matchup. I just don't know that Southampton score a bunch of goals that makes that 1.75 seem a little bit dangerous, especially if Liverpool get ahead. But I guess they're not going to be high pressing with Sadio Mane like they were in Jurgen Klopp in years past. Amazing how much things change. Last on Sunday, we have Ipswich Town hosting Manchester United. Currently, Ipswich a 1-goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 3, just all the way to over. We'll see how this Ruben Almorim comes in supporting Lisboa. We're certainly getting a ton of love in the betting markets in Champions League this season. Did beat Manchester City recently. Scored a lot of goals, but I think this is going to be a rough upgrade or downgrade, depending on how you look at it. Certainly upgrade in probably pay scale and also in club notoriety, but Sporting Lisboa are a much better club right now, way better at this thing called football than Manchester United are. Ipswich have been giving up a ton of goals. We'll see how that looks, but home underdog getting a full goal of insurance against a debut manager in the Premier League. It's very interesting and hard to pass up. So take that +1 and at under 3. Last but not least, we have a Monday matchup. Newcastle hosting West Ham United. Currently Newcastle a 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on West Ham away from home, though, might this fall to a 1-goal spread before kickoff. Over under is 3, just all the way to over. Newcastle score goals at home, not so much on the road. West Ham United are a shell. They don't score anywhere, probably not even their own bedrooms. Ow! But I think at this point, Newcastle, probably, even though I'm wearing a different club stripes that look exactly like Newcastle, I'm leaning back if you're watching the video to prove it. I think West Ham is my interest here, really just into under and hoping that this hits 3.25, because any match with West Ham that's expected to see more than 3 goals, I'm playing under almost blindly. So it's now time to pick my ultimate best bet on this episode. And from England, I think it's probably, I don't love it, but I've been fading Manchester City at every single stop, every possibility that I have found. So I'll go Tottenham getting a goal and a quarter for Manchester City. It's not the most comfortable I've ever been with a play, I'll put it that way, but those are sometimes the best ones that win the most. We'll move now to Spain, to La Liga, and we'll start with what should be a very emotional match. Valencia, after their really awful flash floods that killed former La Liga players, even young ones. It's amazing what happened. I still don't even understand really how it all occurred. A lot of people were mad La Liga were playing matches, but Valencia haven't played in a long time. Real Betis are the unlucky sacrificial lambs that have gone to Valencia, but there might be some advantage to Real Betis going in, having played matches, though the international break certainly might level off their I guess, momentum. where Valencia just are, I think, trying to pick up the pieces in their own club. Plus, then this flash flood happened. Who knows what's going to happen? Currently, Valencia a pick'em with slightly more juice. Over under is 2, juiced all the way to over. I'm waiting to see this number climb higher than 2. Valencia probably get a great effort, huge crowd, I'm sure. But Real Betis is like one of the most popular clubs in all of Spain that no one really talks about. So they haven't done great over the years. I'll be waiting to see Real Betis hit a quarter goal underdog. We don't have that now, so under 2 is my biggest interest in that one. Moving next, Atletico Madrid hosting Alaves. Currently Atleti, a 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Alaves away from home. Over under is 2.25, and it is juiced very heavily to over right now. Atleti haven't scored goals unless it's at the end of matches, really. In stoppage time, and it's Angel Correa, Argentine, because that seemed to be the only one that scores goals, or only country that does for Atleti at this point. Alaves have not played great defensively. It's not been a very smooth season like it was last year when they got promoted to La Liga, which is a big surprise. The spread is big. I don't know that I'm going to want to play Alaves because I'm still worried about their defense, but that also makes the under seem a little bit more difficult. And Atleti do score better at home, but they haven't done it this year. They haven't looked like any sort of offense despite all the money they splashed. They take chances that they're just literally handed to them and offered to them on a silver platter, but I don't know that Alaves will do that. So give me Alaves that 1.25 goals. That's my biggest interest there. And I think I like under 2.25 because it gives you a full extra goal to play with. Moving next to Girona hosting Espanyol. Currently Girona, a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Might climb to 1. Over under is 2.5. Juice all the way to under. Maybe Girona got healthy over these 2 weeks, but they at best haven't had these suddenly healthy players play at all. I'm not a believer. Espanyol have not been great. They are promoted, and that's always a dangerous thing, especially away from home. I'll be waiting to see them hit a full goal of insurance, but I like the 3/4, and I lean to under 2.5. It should be 2. Las Palmas then host Mallorca that same 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern Time window on Saturday. Las Palmas currently a pick'em with more juice on Mallorca. Over under is 2, slightly more juice to over. I don't see a lot of goals in this matchup. Mallorca play one way, and that's a low-scoring matchup. Lean to under 2 in this, and I think that's my biggest interest there. Unless Mallorca moves to an underdog, but I don't see that happening. Celta de Vigo then hosts Barcelona in the last matchup of Saturday. Celta, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Surprisingly, this isn't a full 1, but Barca have been kind of struggling and have some kind of weird away matches that haven't gone very well in La Liga, and they have Champions League coming up next week. But over under is 3.25. I lean to over. There's more juice to over. I don't lean to over, but I guess I probably should lean to over. There you are, Joe Dollar, for any Barcelona match. Celta's my interest here. I need to get a full goal of insurance, and I don't have that yet. Moving to Sunday, Osasuna hosts Villarreal. Currently, Osasuna a pick'em with more of the juice. Over under is 2.75. Juice all the way to under. Villarreal have been better. Osasuna are very good at home, though, so that's my interest. Osasuna at home at pick'em. Lean to under 2.75, but I haven't had a great amount of luck with Villarreal under so far this year. I do think there's going to be a reversion coming to the mean for this whole league, and Villarreal are one of those teams, though. Sevilla then hosts Rayo Vallecano. Currently, Sevilla a quarter goal favorite. Is a pick'em and a half a goal split together, so it makes a quarter. More juice on Rayo Vallecano right now. Over under is 2.25. Juice all the way to under. Hopefully, Aradana Hernandez is not playing and will go to some other league. Maybe Saudi Arabia will want to see some more fireworks or more goals scored, and they'll hire him and force him to play because he's horrible and literally makes a mistake, is keeping people onside, own goals, or just giving people goals every time he plays. And that's at this point something I've been trying to look away from, but every time Aradana Hernandez starts, I know something bad is going to happen because it always does. Can Sevilla get that type of benefit? I think they can, because anyone can. Literally a 6-tier team in Copa del Rey probably can. With that said, Rayo, I think, are a better club than Sevilla right now, are a better team. Sevilla have all the name value, but are only a quarter goal favorite at home, which says something, or says a lot of things. Lean to Rayo getting a quarter of a goal, and lean to under 2.25. Until Sevilla shows some offense, I'm not going to believe it, and it probably won't be this season. Leganés then hosts Real Madrid. Currently, Leganés a 1.25 goal underdog in what's probably the smallest Madrid derby. Almost all the juice on Leganés, surprisingly. Over under is 2.5. Juice all the way to over. Not sure the status of Kylian Mbappe at this point. Didn't play in the last match for France, but they didn't need him. Scored 3 goals. Maybe that's telling something, and maybe Real Madrid could listen. Leganés, the big underdog, and probably will have a huge crowd. But there's probably going to be a lot of Madridistas in that are all wearing white, rooting for Los Blancos. Or they'll probably wear some tangerine uniform, try to squeeze out some extra doll hairs. I lean to like a nice getting that full goal of insurance and a quarter, so you can win on a single goal loss. But lean to under 2.5 is probably my stronger lean of the two. Last but not least, Athletic Club Bilbao hosts Real Sociedad and El Derby Vasco, excuse me. Don't want to mix up the derbies. El Derby Vasco, the Basque Derby. It is Bilbao against San Sebastian, and it should be a big matchup. Athletic Club, a quarter goal favorite at home. Total is 2, just a little bit more to over. Most derbies, I see low-scoring matches, and I think this is no different, though certainly both these teams want to win 4-0 and want to make as big of an embarrassment of their neighbor as possible. Though there is some, I don't know that they hate each other that much in this as they do in Sevilla with Real Betis and Sevilla. But Athletic Club, quarter goal favorite. I'll lean to Sociedad, but I don't trust their offense much at all. Big win against Barcelona heading into the national break is probably the best time to beat Barcelona, so you don't have an immediate letdown. And especially with this big derby coming up, it should be a very focused affair. I'll lean to that under 2, Real Sociedad visiting Athletic Club Bilbao. For my best bet on Saturday in La Liga, I think I'm going to go with it. I wish Celta Vigo were a full goal underdog right now. I don't have that yet, but I'll still put it on there because I feel like that's a good sign that if they're not giving a full goal away, that seems that there's a lot of money that's still flying in on Celta Vigo, because Barcelona would be climbing to 1 if it was not the case. So I'll go Celta Vigo getting 3/4 of goal at home for Barcelona. We'll move to Serie A in Italy, starting on Saturday. Verona hosting Inter Milan. Currently, Verona a 1.25 goal underdog. All the juice at Inter away from home. Over under is 2.75. Juice all the way to over. I'm waiting to see this hit 3. It's not there yet. Verona are scary. They are bad. Inter are much better and are probably licking their wounds. I think Hakan Çalhanoğlu is probably pretty pissed off for his first penalty miss. That could have been a big win to get some separation from them and Napoli in a very convoluted or congested Serie A table. Moving to the next window, Milan hosts Juventus. Currently, Milan a quarter goal favorite with almost all the juice. Over under is 2.25 here, just juice slightly more to under. Milan as a favorite to Juve seems very much like last season when my buddy Francis and I attended. And Milan took a red card in the first half, fell behind even earlier, and did nothing offensively. Juve getting 1/4 goal and also under 2.25 are my biggest interest there. Moving to the nightcap on Saturday, Parma hosting Atalanta. Currently, Parma a 1-goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 3, juiced all the way to over. Parma are going to play an open game. Atalanta are going to feast on that. With all that said, I don't think I want much to have to do with an under, because we could see like a 2-2 here. But I think Parma getting a full goal. Late night with the real _ G Warner 1:15 local time. Of course, I'm yawning. Sorry for those of you, but you're probably used to it by now. Longtime subscribers. But Parma +1 is the biggest interest for me there. Moving to Sunday, we have Genoa hosting Cagliari. Currently, Genoa a pick'em right now with all the juice. Over under is 2.25. Juice slightly more to under. Genoa have not looked great offensively. There's a lot of respect for them coming into the season. They've not delivered on that, though they've played a little bit better lately. I think Cagliari have been more aggressive at home to try to score goals, which is, I think, their manager, a normal firefighter, relegation fighter who's trying to stay in a Serie A job and not start in March and finish in May every year. I'm interested in Cagliari. They're not getting 1/4 goal just yet, so just under 2.25 for me in that one. Torino then hosts Monza. Currently, Torino a 1/2 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Monza away from home. Over under is 2, just all the way to under is my next little source. Sorry if it's looking like I'm trying to stretch it out, because I am. Torino have been bad. Don't trust their offense. Ivan Juric left. He's doing horribly at Roma, did horribly at Roma. Torino have not been good without him, though they didn't seem to want him. They need to get back together, but it's like one of those bad relationships. Probably won't happen, or maybe it will, and then it'll end again in flames, hopefully without any deaths. Monza getting a 1/2 goal is a very big interest of mine, and lean to under 2 there because they've been playing a lot better, and really it started with not conceding goals. Como then hosts Fiorentina. Currently Como a 1/4 goal underdog. This is Sunday. Slightly more juice on the Como home underdog side. Over under is 2.25. Juice almost all the way to over. Fiorentina have been great. I've learned the hard way trying to fade them. I'm not sure I want to do that much. I don't trust Como. They are a team I want to fade as a favorite. Don't have that here. Napoli then hosts Roma. Currently Napoli 3/4 goal favorite. More juice on Roma away from home. Over under is 2.25. Juice all the way to over, and then some. Probably seeing 2.5 at some point. I'll lean under there. I'm not sure I trust Roma right now to score any sort of goals away from home. That plays to under, of course. Went to this matchup. No, I went to Napoli hosting Milan, so scratch that. Last but not least, on Sunday, Lazio hosts Bologna. Currently, Lazio a half a goal favorite with more juice. Over unders 2.25, juiced almost all the way to over. Bologna have not scored goals this year. Lazio have been really good. I'm kind of like trying not to fade Lazio at this point. The only way I think I would do that is backing it under here. Bologna's defense has been performing still pretty well under a very offensive manager who took over for a defensive manager that got Bologna to Champions League. Man, Bologna is really bad. So that makes it hard to back them, is because if you're playing unders away from home, you need a team to compete. I think they will compete, though, especially coming off an international break. So I'll lean under 2.25 in that matchup. Moving to Monday, Empoli hosts Udinese. Currently a pick 'em, a little bit more juice on Udinese right now. Over under is 2, juice all the way to under. Empoli and under have been a godsend for my bankroll this season. I like that same way. And it feels like some Udinese money has been hitting as of late, and I hope it does, because I want to see Empoli move to a quarter goal underdog. I doubt that happens, but lean to under 2 there as well. And last but not least, Venezia hosts Lecce. Currently, Venezia a quarter goal favorite at home. Almost all the juice on Lecce away from home. Over unders 2.25, juice all the way to over. Venezia, they have found goals. I can't tell you how, but they found them. I think I'm less interested in Lecce and backing them away from home, but I'm still interested in backing under 2.25. These two teams could be going for it, trying to win this matchup, but I think Lecce will take a road point against anyone. So I'll lean to under 2.25 in that matchup. And for my best bet I think I'm going to go with that Juventus match. I feel like they might even be getting a half of a goal before this match kicks off. I would certainly wait for that, but I'll take Juve getting a quarter of a goal away from home at Milan. Juve's not been playing great, but Milan have not been any better. So I'm surprised by Milan being a favorite. Yes, at home at San Siro, they deserve to be ish, but I don't even think they will be. Juve's close, Torino's close. They're going to have a big crowd, and I saw it last year. Moving now to France, and of course, I'll summarize these all end of show and get you an ultimate best bet, which is 12-3 so far this season. My league picks went all 5-0, so I couldn't have lost my ultimate best bet last week because I was perfect. But moving to France on Saturday, we have Lens hosting Marseille. Currently, Lens a quarter goal favorite with more juice. Over unders 2.75, juice more to the under. There's a lot here to unpack. Marseille have been, to me, better away from home than in their huge Stade Lens Velodrome. But Lens are great at home. So I don't know that there's not much for me to do here. The road underdog. I lean to under 2.75. It's higher than I made it, but I feel like Marseille score a ton of goals or concede a lot. They're just high. I mean, they're very entertaining. Don't play well at home, play well on the road. Somehow are trying to climb a table because they don't play in Europe, but they don't ever seem to reach expectations. The crowd's always pissed. It's kind of hilarious. And I'm really sad when I was in the south of France at Côte d'Azur in September that it was an international break, but c'est la vie. There we go. More French. I'll go under 2.75 if you got to have a play on this one. I'm not sure that anyone cares that much about Liga, though, at this point. Moving next to Saint-Etienne, hosted Montpellier. Currently Saint-Etienne, a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Montpellier away from home, getting a big win heading into the international break. Over under is 2.75, juiced all the way to under. Montpellier are tempting. I feel like Saint-Etienne went to Lyon, got me a big under 3.25, only conceded once. It was a great job, defended the whole time. Maybe they'll learn from that. I doubt it, because this is a match they sure will see as the 3 points that they could get. With that said, Montpellier, I think, they've been in the league longer. Saint-Etienne are newly promoted. Montpellier on their 50-year anniversary have a long way to go to get back in this league, as they've been league bottom, but one win does wonders for confidence. I think they ride that on the way to Le Verde, the Saint-Etienne on the road. And I lean to under 2.75 because I feel like this is going to be a dogfight. Didn't work very well when Saint-Etienne traveled to Angers, but we'll see what happens. And I want to see Taji Savanier in this matchup in the lineup for Montpellier to play that quarter of a goal underdog away from home. Hopefully his suspension has been lifted. Reims then host Lyon. Currently Reims a quarter goal underdog at home. Over under is 3. Juiced all the way to under, with a lot more juice on Reims right now as an underdog, but they've been pick 'em. Lyon have been getting bet now to a quarter goal favorite. That's too much. I like Reims. I like Reims. A quarter goal underdog at home. Give me that. I'll take it. And I guess I lean under 3 because I like that push there, but these two teams can score, so that's scary. Moving to Sunday, Lille hosts Rennes. Currently, Lille a half goal favorite. Juices split. Over unders 2.5. Juices more to the over. Rennes have been awful. I don't know if they sacked their manager. They're a different guy on the sidelines, maybe because their manager had been suspended. The match heading into international break, it's possibly he was sacked and I missed it. Lille have been awesome. I want nothing to do with fading Lille at this point, even though they did concede a ridiculous end of match. I mean, it wasn't really their fault. Lucky goal that killed my quarter of a goal, or at least I guess I won half of it instead of the full, but it was brutal. Rennes don't want to touch them. They've been batting away from home for a long time. I've already spent too much time here. Nantes hosts Le Havre. Currently, Nantes half a goal favorite at home. All the juice over unders 2.25, just all the way to under. I don't see many goals. Nantes have been really struggling. They had a good start to the season, but they're back in kind of danger zone. Antoine Comboiré, their great manager, is defensive guy, and they haven't been playing great defense. Incredible loss from their veteran, Nico Palawa, who tried to head the ball back to his goalkeeper, and it would have gone into his net if not for the foot of an attacker who then put it in mercifully, so it didn't go on Nicolas Palawa's record. But Le Havre, they have not been playing well. They look like they're destined for relegation. Manager got sent off last week or for the international break. A lot of problems all going around, and that usually means under. So give me under 2.25. It's very juicy at the moment. We'll see if it does hang there. Probably 2 is worth it because worst case it lands 2 and you push. Next, we'll go to Angers, hosting Angers. Currently, Angers a 3/4 goal favorite. 2 teams that came up from the newly promoted, but Angers have certainly played at this level. They score goals. Angers seem to only score from the penalty spot. Don't want much to do with the Angers side. And honestly, Angers plays too many goals in their games are seen. So over 2.75 is probably my interest there. There we go, Joe Dollar. There's an over for the list. Probably only one, but there it is. There it is. Enjoy. Last but not least, we'll go to Nice hosting Strasbourg. And Strasbourg have been really disappointing. They had a great start to the year. I've really been backing them a lot. They've been playing well, but they have these they have a lot of young players. They're basically a minor league team for Chelsea Football Club. And you see the really bad growing pains type of mistakes, unfortunately. Strasbourg, I still like, though, getting 3/4 of the goal. I would like to play under 2.75. It's a really high total for Nice to have in any sort of Nice match. I don't think Nice is good. I want to bet against them. I probably like Strasbourg getting 3/4 of a goal more than like under 2.75, but that's very inflated. It's almost all the way juiced right now. We might see 2.5, still higher than most Nice matches I think deserve to be. So lean to the underdog and the under in that matchup. Man, God rest my Sunday afternoon soul here in the United States, because that's going to be not fun to watch, I'll have to say, until 10 minutes after the final whistle is blown to actually celebrate that one. For my best bet, though, in Ligue 1 in France, I think it is Stade Reims. They are a 1/4 goal underdog at home. I really like that, and that might be a bigger interest that might show up later in the show. We'll see. Well, they will definitely show, because they're certainly my selection from French Ligue 1, and then I'll be mentioned on the Ultimate Best Bet coming up very shortly, as we're now to the Bundesliga, the last team I'm going to cover before we get to the Ultimate Best Bet. Thank you all for watching, and of course, your support is very, very much appreciated. And if anyone's in here live, you can throw in a comment and I will read it. You can see I have your comments. You can come right in here and I can choose to display them, and I'll do that if I see it. We'll start on Saturday in the big group window of Bayer Leverkusen hosting FC Heidenheim. Currently, Leverkusen a 2-goal favorite. Choose a split. Over under 3.25. Choose all the way to over. Might see 3.5 here. That's a big total, especially for Leverkusen. I think 33 minutes in, this might be the longest game we can discuss. Leverkusen were so lucky last season to win the German Bundesliga. They were undefeated forever, and the late goals that either saved draws or won the matches and clinched and embarrassed Bayern München side that ended up sacking Thomas Tuchel, who's unbelievably going to take over the England manager job. Oh my God, it's going to be hilarious. Maybe that's the best thing for us. But with that all said, Leverkusen, they can't beat anybody by 2 goals. Heidenheim haven't scored in forever. They looked really bad heading into the international break, losing at home with a huge goalkeeping mistake in the first minute against Wolfsburg, who couldn't score either heading into it. I mean, so many nightmares in that one, especially for a pick'em and underplay that I had. Both of them just went. We found eventually a Heidenheim goal and a scrappy goal from a guy laying on his back. He got a pretty nice finish, I got to say. I don't know. There's a lot of problems in Heidenheim, but they are 2-goal underdog. They can lose 1-0, and I think that would be a fine result for Heidenheim. I think Leverkusen will be doing everything they can to try to keep balls out of their net in the last few minutes, because they went from winning every match at the death last year to now losing their leads at the end and losing matches and just doing anything if they're not defending. Like the second half, complete like obliteration from Liverpool, who didn't even play any good. Leverkusen just fell apart. For that reason, I feel like if you're playing under, you probably want to play Heidenheim +2 as well, because I think it's 13.5 to 1 odds that Heidenheim go win this match at Leverkusen. It's very unlikely, but like it's a very possible situation that this is a Heidenheim win. Draw is nearly 7 to 1 odds. I mean, maybe combining those two, the +2 will certainly be on my card on Saturday morning. I think we've seen enough from Leverkusen that they are nowhere near the same team. Javi Alonso should have taken that Liverpool job, and would be probably winning Champions League and English Premier League titles right now. Instead, he's now going to have to figure out how long he's going to stay at Leverkusen, because it is not working right now. With that said, they could turn it all around. I just don't think an international break is spot for that to happen. So give me the +2. Very interested. I don't say this ever, but I'm interested in looking at straight up to win 13.5 to 1. Wow. And honestly lean to under 3.25 as well, which is going to be 3.5 probably before kickoff. Moving next to VfL Stuttgart hosting VfL Bochum. Currently Stuttgart 1 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice away from home on Bochum, surprisingly. Over under is 3.5, juice slightly more to over. Stuttgart have not been dominating games. Bochum are horrible away from home. The number is gigantic. I'm waiting to see this hit 2 before I probably play, but lean to 1 3/4 is certainly bigger than I made it. Over under at 3.5 is also gigantic. Like the Bundesliga, the goals that go in are very fortunate. We're going to see some unders come in, and it might be off an international break, might be the best time for it, especially while Bochum have no internationals and we're just basically playing all together, unless they're talking about potentially Christoph, one of their Filipino players that is German Filipino, Holtman, I believe, who might gone away, but oh my gosh, so much. They lost a left wing back. Who I guess is playing left wing, but actually is just really sitting in and trying to defend, which might mean some value on Bochum unders. Honestly, don't really trust them to score though, so I might just hope for a 3-0 loss that wins your under. Or obviously, it'd be nice to not be that close, but that might be a good situation for the under to still hit. Borussia Dortmund then hosts Sport Club Freiburg, as I am wearing a Freiburg kit. And this is the squad I follow closest in all of the sport, Europe, soccer, whatever's. 3/4 of a goal underdog is probably the friendliest number I've ever seen on Sports Club Freiburg, and I've been following very closely. I literally play at FIFA 20 from 2019 online every week. Like I'm a year behind my schedule, but I follow all the transfers and I play that way. And Freiburg are simply not not even close into the class of Borussia Dortmund. Have struggled with them even in Southwest Germany as opposed to Northwest Germany, where Dortmund is. This is usually a massacre. And I do think that Freiburg have a chance because Borussia Dortmund are on my fade list big time, but getting less than a goal at the Signal Iduna Park, as they call it now, formerly Westfalen Stadion. No, I can't do it. It's too cheap. We'll see if this moves to 1. Until that happens, I'm not doing it. Over under 2 3/4 is so low. Dortmund could give up 3 themselves. They should certainly score against Freiburg, who've been better defensively this year, but I'm not really sure I believe in the success Freiburg have had under new manager Julian Schuster. I don't have a play on this one. Sorry to be wearing the kit. Next, we'll go to Hoffenheim hosting RB Leipzig. TSG Hoffenheim, a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Juices split. Over under is 3. And the juice is split. Hoffenheim have been not seeing many goals. They've been playing stuck in between Europa League and I still don't know how they made it into that competition. Oh, my Lord. But they're there. Leipzig have the possibility of dominating this game, but how can you trust Leipzig to win any matches, especially away from home? They've coughed up so many leads, which is not great for under. But I think Leipzig do a very good job of keeping Hoffenheim out. All that money spent on Adam Hlošek from Bayer Leverkusen, who's never playing for them. LOL, good signing. I think there's some real problems. The broadcast, the last Bundesliga match for Hoffenheim, a goalless draw at Augsburg. said they're big concerned about Hoffenheim staying in the league, which is saying something because they're doing fairly well in Europa League, but that's a very different competition. And sometimes clubs will do well in one and horribly in another. So lean to under here, under 3, definitely. I guess I lean to the home underdog, but it's probably going to take more than just a quarter of a goal because I think I want a full win on a home draw in that matchup. Last in that early window is Wolfsburg hosting Union Berlin. Currently Wolfsburg, a quarter goal favorite heading into the international break. So happy after their miraculous win that was, to me, not deserved. Over-under is 2.25, do slightly more to over. Union are going to go in and beat the shit out of this Wolfsburg team. Their goalless draw with Freiburg heading into the break. We could see that again. I think that's perfect that's my favorite play as an underdog player. Sorry, Joe Dollar, it doesn't work with you, but hopefully the money will eventually work its way out. I lean to Union getting that quarter of a goal and lean to under 2.25 there as well. Last but not least on this one is the Topspiel, the biggest Saturday matchup, which is somehow Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Werder Bremen, probably because they won all the Champions League teams playing earlier and Bayern München already played on Friday. But Frankfurt, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with more juice. Over-under 3.25, juice more to the under. It's not really much I want to do here. So I'll move on to Sunday and try to save some beauty rests and to get these podcasts out so you can listen to them before these matches start in 5 hours. Holstein Kiel host Mainz 05 on Sunday. Holstein Kiel, a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice. Over-under is 2.75, juice almost all the way to under. Kiel with a brutal late concession that killed will push their side and also push the total. So I guess free movie if you're listening to the NFL podcast with _Snicker and I on this channel, Betting the Pitch on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, plus at the Real _G Warner on YouTube, and our 1 minute same type of best bet videos. Reels come out every week at the Real _G Warner on Instagram and YouTube. I feel like the Kiel side here is interesting, but it's really, if you're playing Holstein Kiel only getting a quarter of a goal at home, you're expecting them to score, which I don't really ever feel that good about, or you're expecting Mainz 05's offense to just be really, really weak away from home. I think they can find goals, but I think seeing 3 of them is going to be hard to do. So I'll put my biggest interest here as under 2.75 in that matchup. And the last one on Sunday, Borussia Mönchengladbach hosts FC St. Pauli. Currently, Gladbach, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Pauli on the way from home. Over-under is 2.75, juice all the way to under. St. Pauli, they can't score at home, so maybe this is good for them to be away from home, though Gladbach are certainly much better at home. Gladbach have been playing pretty well. 3/4 a goal feels like a big number for Gladbach to lay, but deep down, they've been playing pretty good football for a while now. Maybe they're finally getting out of their doldrums or whatever you call it, with their sporting director who said he didn't have enough time for the job and then literally has worked for like every other big club in the German Bundesliga while basically taking Mönchengladbach from the Champions League to the toilet. Like, what a joke that was, but whatever. I don't even remember the guy's name. F him. With that said, Gladbach, I mean, I'm still interested in fading them because they need to win this match by 2 goals to get my full unit at this price. So I lean to St. Pauli getting 3/4 a goal, but I think my biggest interest is under 2.75 in that matchup. So for my best bet in Germany, I mean, I said it pretty loud and proud. I'll go Heidenheim getting 2 goals from Bayer Leverkusen. I think that could be an upset, and that might just fully kick Leverkusen. If they're not out of the title race already, I mean, that would certainly do it, I think, because Bayern München are just going to beat everyone, it feels like. And that is it for this episode. 43 minutes in, I've got all top 5 European soccer leagues Saturday through Monday schedules covered. We're 12-3 our last 15, 5-0 last week on the country's selections. So try to keep that going. Before we get into the ultimate best bet, I want to shout out the new Patreon subscribers, Brett Mangigian. You might want to correct me on how to pronounce that. Brett Mangigian, I believe. Joe Dollar, you signed up again. Thank you for coming back. Joe Susek, Jeff Chapman, thank you all for coming in. I expect a lot more college basketball players to come in coming through the season. It's been a great start over there. Thank you for all the support with the $1 handicapper at pregame. And of course, all of you listening to the Need for Seeds college basketball podcast that got picked up by pregame this year. I'm going to do 2 episodes a week with that coming soon. And I think there's still some bandwidth, at least if at Biggie Spence listening. We might do some of that, some more episodes throughout the weeks, try to get you as much college basketball content as possible. Because we put out some good sods, as he likes to say. Also, the YouTube subscribers, thank you to Honey Freeman, John McLemore, a weird person named Wager Enterprises. Thank you. Mustafa Shukri, Nick Restrepo, JC Truth. Thank you all. You've been great. And please keep subscribing if you want to make sure you're not missing the feed. Subscribe on Spotify. I don't think I have a list of that. And on Apple Podcasts as well. So I think things to plug, other things on the channel, Betting the Pitch, you can find it everywhere. I've already said it a million times. NFL podcast with A_Schnicker. We're over 500 this year. We're making a little bit of money, but been kind of in and out. But I need to tally my record because I think I've been carrying that podcast. Sorry, Shitty, for throwing you under the bus there. But it's been a good NFL season, trying to keep the losses away and probably have to just quit unders at this point. Other than that, college football podcast out on pregame with at Big East Ben. You might have heard of him before. And then get ready for Saturday and what's coming with a huge wave of games. I guess we just got through that on Friday here in college basketball. But I think the Nevada matchup with VCU might have taken a year off my life, or maybe 10. I think that might be it. So it's probably time for me to get this in place. Sorry if that was really loud to you listeners, but I got to get the studio ready, get the microphone in place, and we got to get this this video going because it's 1:38 and I'm got to set my FPL team and do all this other shit as well. Excuse my French, but that's how we do it. Okay, so I think it's time. What else do I have to do? I don't think anything. All right. Hey, this is a real_G Warner. This is Betting the Pitch, the European soccer edition. I go through the see, this is what happens. It tells me my storage is full, but it's not. I know it's not because I just deleted a video like a second ago. Ridiculous. Sorry, I'm yelling at my phone. Probably not the most professional thing to do, but here we are. I might have to do this tomorrow. Damn, this is really disappointing. Anyway, is there a way for me to do this without? I swear, I literally just did a video for a minute and it didn't. Yeah, okay, this is killing me. Okay, well, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. I'll figure out how to do this on my own time with a new phone, or maybe I should just throw this thing into the pool off my balcony. For my best bets, I've listed them out, and I'll go through the ultimate best bet. We went 5-0 on last week's episode. Literally every pick I made, my favorite one from each country, it won. Don't hate me if that doesn't happen again, because it's probably impossible, but I'm going to try my best. So let's go. In England, Tottenham getting a goal and a quarter from Manchester City. In La Liga in Spain, I like Celta de Vigo getting 3/4 of a goal from Barcelona. In Serie A in Italy, like Juventus getting a quarter of a goal from Milan. In Ligue in France, like Stade de Reims getting a quarter of a goal. And in the German Bundesliga, like Heidenheim +2. For my ultimate best bet on this episode, we're 12-3 this year. Try to make it to 13-3. Let's hope. 10 games over 500 in 16 weeks would be awesome, or 16 episodes. I'll go Juventus getting a quarter of a goal on the road at Milan. And that'll be it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe. Check out Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best spot for all my plays, leads, write-ups, everything across all sports, including big college basketball day today, huge college basketball day for the rest of the season, probably the next 6 months, plus a huge soccer day on Saturday and Sunday, Champions League coming up, all that sort of stuff. See you all soon at the real_G Warner on all the platforms. Hit me up if you need something, and I'll talk to you soon.
Recording stopped.